One from 12th century is that one. One above is the Gothic style, Gothic era, 14th, 15th century. On the opposite side, there is a barrel image, exactly the year 1658, when Holy Roman Emperor and the King Ferdinand III, because I have number 3. Never mind. You'll visit the chapel, but we can go there afterwards. Okay, now we are in the smallest room in our tour, and in fact this one was used as a waiting room for those who were later on accepted in the beach ensemble hall. So it was kind of foyer inlaid door. This door is or was made was crafted in the year 16th century. He had only two options: either to convert Catholicism or to leave. So he fled to Poland first. Then he was invited by Swedish Queen Christina to come to Stockholm. First audio-visual technique. He emphasized that education for small kids. And watching us is the painter, Václav. Here I would like to introduce you how Prague looked like in 1902. At that time, Prague consisted of 5 areas, 5 places: Hradčin, Malá Strana, West Town. Then we cross Charles Bridge and we get to the old town of Prague, where we are now. That's our position. Then it was a new town of Prague. And finally, the ancient seat of our kings, Vyšehrad. Then they moved to Prague Castle. And those 3 parts were included into the UNESCO heritage list: Hradčin, Vesetan, and the old town of Prague. They were included in the UNESCO heritage list because of this huge variety of styles. Because you can find here Gothic, Romanesque style, Romanesque style, beautiful.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, you can. Maybe outside.
Be very careful, please. Carefully. Very careful. Each step is different, so be very careful.
Ayaw mo, te? Bakit?
7 meters under nowadays level of the town. Originally, this was not the underground. Originally, this was not a cellar. Originally, this was the main floor, street level floor. The problem was that the same level had the river. I'm talking about 12th and beginning of 13th century. And this part of town is flat. So it was flooded very, very often. In the beginning of 13th century, it was decided that it was absolutely necessary to elevate artificially the level of the old town of Prague. It was a long process of 80 years, roughly. It started around the year 1240, ended up around the year 1320, and people used all possible material to fill up the streets. Mainly stones, rocks, soil, but also garbage, trash, right? So after many years, it became a very That was, for example, street entrance.
Entrance.
So there was a pub in this house, public beer hall. Unfortunately, the barrels are empty now, but in past it was a pub. The people came from the street here. Yeah? This is a street, we will cross that street. It was connecting, in fact, nowadays Wenceslas Square, at the time Horse Market, with the Jewish quarter, which is behind us. It's like 10 minutes away of walk. So we will cross the street, and our next stop is jail and the dungeon. Please. Okay, so now we are in the second house, and most probably the house that has been carved from outside, right? And most probably you remember that upstairs there was a court of justice. So they decided to change the underground part into the jail and water tank into the dungeon, because it was very practical to have all in one, right? Court and the jail. And those people who did something wrong, but not that seriously wrong, those were exposed in that wooden staff on the square here. So everybody in town knew they had done something bad. And that water tank originally, but the dungeon later on, that one was used for the hardest criminals like arsonists and murderers, uhlíci, dimenticati, forgotten people, right?
There were many people inside, or
It depended on the time. If there were a lot of crimes done, so they were like 5, 6, 10. Before this house became a town hall, but it was still in private hands. So the family who lived here, they had their kitchen here. So you can see the stove, you can see the shape of the street window, and you can also see the water bar, and this one still has water. But I wouldn't recommend to drink it. You know, those glasses, they were in 17th century under the King Rudolf. He invited to Prague many chemists, people, because he was obsessed about the art and youth, elixir of youth. So they were producing. So now we are under the channel where we started our tour, and most probably from that place you still remember the name Morphine, who was the original self-imagined Morphine, the man who originally lived and possessed this house. So before he sold it to the city, this was his private chapel. And there are four patrons, our patrons. Saint Adalbert, the second bishop in Prague, Saint Ludmila, Grandma of Saint Wenceslas, all of them lived in the 10th century, and Saint Vitus, young boy from Sicily. These are replicas only. The original statues you would see outside on the surface of the chapel, so you can see it there. And there are also two fragments of that destroyed wing. Those were roof beams, the names of those who died here protecting town hall against German Nazis last days of war, and now of the window. I'm sure that since you are in our country, you must have noticed that here everything starts and ends up in the beer. Everything. And beer is usually